glory, how much more bold should we be in calling Jesus our Savior? You see, Paul refers to Jesus and the gospel as this ministry of righteousness. That's what he says. He says, now we've got this ministry of righteousness that far exceeds the glory of the law. I mean, the law had glory. It was great, but it brought death and condemnation. But it was great because it came from a great God who is great in his holiness and in his justice. But the gospel has greater glory because in the gospel, that law that you and I cannot fulfill is fulfilled on our behalf by Jesus. He's saying that we should be excited about proclaiming the ministry of death and condemnation because it speaks of the glory of our God. How much more should we be wanting to proclaim the glory of the gospel, that God in his love and mercy fulfills the law on our behalf through Jesus, and we who are dead and condemned are now made alive and justified. He says, you've understood this. You've experienced this. This is who you are. This is why God brought you out of darkness into his wonderful light. Proclaiming this should be something that you're bold about. In fact, we should be bold in confessing our sin, and we should be bold in confessing Jesus as our Savior. You see, the problem, or at least the two thieves that rob from the gospel, the one thief is religion. That people look at the law and feel that they've done better than others, or that they're not in need of a Savior because they're good people. And the other way, and the other thief, is relativism. That people say if it's good for you, then it's okay. There's no absolutes. There's no real sense of what is truly right and truly wrong. So for you and I, we shouldn't hide our sin. We should confess our sin. We should acknowledge that we are totally depraved, wicked, stone-hearted, black-hearted sinners. And we should confess when we've sinned, but profess the saving grace that we have in Jesus. So I can acknowledge my sin because of what Christ has done on my behalf. I don't need to come across as perfect. I don't need to pretend that I'm something that I'm not. I can acknowledge when I'm coveting. I can acknowledge when I'm angry. I can acknowledge when I'm lusting. I can acknowledge when I'm selfish. And I can give thanks to God that Christ paid the penalty for all of those sins. Don't proclaim yourself and your goodness. Proclaim Christ and his perfection.